and welcome to Faith on Film, a program designed to keep you aware and informed on everything that's happening in the world of faith-based films. I have two guests for you today, so two for the price of one. Jake W. Kitson, or known as John Smith, is a veteran educator and with nearly 30 years of experience in both his local school district and Kent State University. His award-winning novel, Song of the Tree Frogs, is slated for release this year as a feature film and was nominated as Most Inspirational Movie of the Year by the International Christian Film and Music Festival. Now, Matthew Ketchum has been featured in several film projects, such as Beast of Our Fathers. He assisted with the production team on Song of the Tree Frogs and is featured on two book covers, including Song of the Tree Frogs and People from the Lake, both written by J.W. Kitson. His role as adult Michael in Song of the Tree Frogs is a vital role to the climax of the film. Gentlemen, welcome to Faith on Film. I understand there's some serious weather happening over there, so hopefully we won't lose you through this.
Yes. Yeah, the lights keep flickering, so we'll find out. So,
well, that should be interesting if it does happen. Well, anyway, now you John Smith, are an author. And, you know, most of the time when it comes to films, you know, people get all excited about the director, the producer, the screenwriter, but they hardly ever really talk about the author of the book, which to me is the birth of that specific movie. And that's what's happening here is this movie, by the way, is based on your book, correct?
yes, it is. And Song of the Tree Frogs was written probably about 17 years ago. I threw it on a bookshelf, didn't do anything with it for probably a good 12, 13 years. And a friend of mine, she just said, hey, do you have anything fiction? I love reading your writing and everything. And do you have anything fiction that you've written? And I said, well, I have this story about these two brothers that go through a pretty rough time with their dad and so forth. And I sent it down to her. Her husband was on his way to the store. She just lives down the street from me, and I call her my book critic. So she'll tell me whether she likes something or not, so I can adjust. And she told me to give her about 3 weeks before she, you know, could get back to me on it because her dog had been very sick and she wasn't sleeping well. Well, 2 nights later, she called around about 10:30 at night. I saw it on caller ID, and I picked up the phone. She's crying her eyes out. And I said, oh, Dottie, I said, I'm so sorry. Did Spencer die? She says, no, the stupid dog's fine. She said, I just finished reading your novel. I couldn't put it down. I didn't care that the dog was sick. I wanted to get through the book. And she said, you absolutely have to do something with this. So I started seeking representation, and that happened. And here we are today.
Is this the first book that you've written, or have you written some books before this?
I've done a lot of local writing and some inspirational books. I did one that featured students in East Liverpool High School as well as staff members in our school district, just inspirational stories. And I had happened to find out one night that they made an honorary captain of one of the young men on the football team. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman in the press box with me, because I was also producing a sports show with called Potter's News Network, and we were talking, and he said, nobody. The young man actually had I'm trying to think of what disease it was, but it was one that somebody doesn't really live beyond their 25, 30 years old. Mm-hmm. And they made him honorary captain, but he never told anybody on the football field or on the football team that he actually had, this disease. And so the gentleman happened to just say to me, he said, I just wish that somebody would capture these inspirational stories about young people, in our school district mm-hmm. that are doing these great things. And so next thing you know, I thought, well, why not? And so that was sort of one of my first publications. And then I moved on to just other things. But I have to credit one of my college professors. Her name was Dr. Virginia Carroll at the time. Actually, I'm going to meet her next weekend. She's coming to our area. And but she inspired me a lot through an adolescent literature class. And that's when I really grabbed into this idea of realistic fiction, young adult or crossover novels, that type of thing, and realism and that type of thing. So she was a great inspiration for that. And as I said, I wrote the story and left it sit on a bookshelf collecting dust for about 12 years.
Wow. So, now, Matthew, let's hear a little bit about you. How did you get started in acting and filmmaking? Is this something you wanted to do since you were a kid?
Well, I've actually always been interested in acting in film and producing films, but I never really thought that I could actually get into the acting field because our construction class, we made the play sets for the theater class. And I was always jealous when they got to go up on stage and do everything, but we didn't get any credit because we built everything, but they didn't say anything. It's like, oh, okay. But it'd be really cool to do stage acting, which I never did throughout high school. But John was my professor at Kent State, and he mentioned at a time that he was going to be looking for models for his book, Song of the Tree Frogs, and People from the Lake. So I guess I was a viable candidate for that because he asked if I wanted to do that, and I was super excited. And we ended up doing it, and I was like, wow, I can actually start doing things like this, like modeling, acting. And then when they started writing the screenplay for Song of the Tree Frogs, I ended up sending in my audition tape, and they actually liked it. And I was like, wow, this doesn't seem real. I've never done anything like acting like this before, and actually got into the film, and I guess the rest is history from that point.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say the fascinating thing was at the end of the semester, after the final exam was finished and everything, I was sort of just hanging out and talking to some colleagues of mine. And about 20 minutes, half hour later, I finally made it to my car. He had been waiting for me the whole time because that's when he really expressed that I really would like to get into acting. And, is there any way that you could help me out? And the rest is history. Now we consider him our adopted son. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break right now. And then when we come back, let's talk a little bit about the movie, all right?
Okay.
Hopefully you're still there and that storm doesn't come through and shut you down. Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Encourage TV. Family-friendly and faith-friendly content absolutely free. Subscribe today and watch hundreds of hours of content on our streaming channels. Visit encouragetv.com today.
They say it's really big.
What's really big?
An ozark, silly.
Oh, I know. It's bigger than the size of our house.
It's a little bigger than that.
Like the size of 2 houses. No, 2 houses and a spaceship. I bet it's even bigger than the castle.
Don't be ridiculous. That's impossible.
Only one university in the nation was chosen to demonstrate at the World Equestrian Games, and it's the only Christian university in the South offering an equine management major. Only one university produced the video leading into coverage for the Games, and it's the only university with students hired as part of a broadcast crew for 9 Olympic Games. One university, equipping students for a lifetime of leadership and service. Asbury University. Start here, impact the world.
Welcome back. We're here chatting today with John Smith, the producer of the movie Song of the Tree Frog, and Matthew Ketchum, who has not only helped in the production, but also was one of the actors in the movie. John, there's a question I have here. What does Song of the Tree Frog mean?
Well, Song of the Tree Frogs is based upon both of my grandmothers. My grandmother Gladys Fry, and I do have a character written in the story. Her name is Grandma Gladys, or Grandma Gladdy, as we often called her. And my other grandmother, her name was Helen. Both of them absolutely loved listening to tree frogs. And so when I would stay overnight at their house growing up, we'd sit on the porch. And my grandmother made a statement one time. She said, it just sounds like they're singing to us, And the other grandmother one time said that, boy, just listen to those tree frogs. And they just calm me down. Every night I can come out here and I can sit down on the porch, and the woods was only maybe, they were 15 feet from her, her back porch. And so, I mean, the tree frogs were just great. And she'd open up the windows at night because apparently she didn't believe in the invention of air conditioning, but she put up the windows and I would just listen to the tree frogs at night, and they were relaxing. And that's what the two brothers do. They live in a very violent world with the father, and that's what they do. They escape out their bedroom window, and they meet at an old fallen tree from a storm, ironically. And that's where they talk about a better life and, meeting, they just pray for these, for people to come into their life and take them away from the horrible life that they live. And they always listen to the tree frogs. And Matthew's scene is really all part of the climax to the story. And he's talking to his older brother, Phillip, and there's a very intense scene that they both have their dialogue with. And they mentioned about the fact that, what would we have ever done if we didn't have our tree frogs, to calm us down. And so that's where it came from.
I see. Now, Matthew, this is your first acting job, right? If I remember correctly from what you said. How did you feel during the shooting? And do you feel that you did a good job? I mean, did you enjoy this?
Well, first off, I was a nervous wreck because everyone else there had a huge resume, and I was just like the young dog there. And but I learned so many things from the people that were there. And if there's anything I learned, more importantly, was how to play off someone else's expression when they're acting. It's not all about you. It's about how you prepare yourself in front of them to make it look like a realistic scene, which I learned really quick from Cameron McKendry for how good he is.
I see. Yeah. You know what? You did mention that you were there with just a lot of heavy hitters. And I know, I mean, several of them I've actually had on the show. Karen Abercrombie, I haven't, and I really have to book her on the show because I just am so impressed with her. Shannon Fields, I've had her on. Stacey Bradshaw, Maggie Janney. My goodness, you got all the main faith-based acting talent on this movie. And now we add, of course, you, Matthew.
I tried picking their brains as much as I could for the time that they were there to see how they acted, how they prepared for scenes and things like that, and I just absorbed as much as I could.
That's wonderful. Now, I know that you guys had planned to release this movie, I don't know, a couple of 2-3 months ago or so?
Yeah.
And then COVID came and hit us, didn't it?
Yes. So we're in talks with distribution, but we would love to have a premiere. We always have a premiere at one of our local theaters. In fact, it's in Columbiana, Ohio, which was recently named by Reader's Digest as the friendliest city in America. And but our friend, who's actually he does a lot of lighting and everything for us. He owns a theater, and so we always have our premieres at his theater, and we just haven't been able to. And it's been driving a lot of people crazy because they want to see the movie. They've read the novel, love the novel, and they're like, I have to see this movie. When is it coming out? And we just can't tell them. It's just, some theaters are starting to finally open up. And I noticed that Cameron Arnett, has been talking about Tulsa and so forth. So we'd love to see that in the Regal Cinema. So just a lot of our local ones haven't opened up yet. So.
Well, yeah, here in California, which is where I'm at, they're not opening anything up over here. And I think that's probably one of the things that has frustrated me the most is not being able to get out there and watch a movie. Or the other thing is have dinner. I work here in my home. My studio here is in my home. My office is here. So I was okay with not having to go out somewhere for work. I just continued the same. But after a few weeks of not being able to go out and have dinner and watch a movie, that got difficult. So hopefully this ends soon and you'll be able to premiere the movie because we need to watch this movie. We need to have this movie come out and be blessed by this movie.
I've been working with the CASA organization, which is Court Appointed Special Advocates, because of the domestic violence and the child abuse that's brought up in the story. And they noticed, they said during the pandemic that there's been such a large increase in domestic violence cases and so forth. And so I'm also in touch with the leader of the CASA organization in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And so I sent a book to him and everything. So we're, talking about, really exploring the possibility of having the volunteers, use the book, because here in Columbiana County where we live, the CASA organization is using it as a mandatory read for their volunteers. They said because of the way in which it expresses the PTSD and everything that comes along with it.
Yeah, it's actually very important right now, because that's the other thing that this pandemic has done, is it's actually just opened up too much of an opportunity for a lot of domestic abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take one more break, and then we're going to come back and find out what's in the future. What's in the future for you? Are you writing more movies? And you, Matthew, are you ready to act into some more movies? All right? All right, folks, don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages.
I never realized how much work goes into taking care of horses.
You think that's hard? Try taking care of thousands of animals at the same time.
Go ahead. Think bigger.
Just one life, a perfect unlife. And your heart starts beating hard. I'm gonna keep on dreaming. I wanna feel that love. I wanna get that feeling. I wanna get that feeling.
Christian filmmaking.
Have you ever considered being an actor or director of a major feature film? But what if God is calling you to do just that? Let this be your pulpit.
And you learn filmmaking on 2 backlots, a first-century backlot and a small-town backlot, under the watchful eyes of Christian professional filmmakers like Dr. Mark Kuchin. So what are you waiting for?
469-655-3222. Transformation Film Institute, a place where passion meets purpose.
I wonder if penguins have knees. I wonder how many colors we can't see. I wonder why there's so many stars in the universe. I wonder if we ever looked like apes.
You want to find out?
I wonder if puppies have belly buttons.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. We are here with John Smith and Matthew Ketchum. I want to make sure not mess up your name. I'm really good at messing up names, by the way. So guys, you've got this movie under your belt. Matthew, this is your first movie. What's in the future for you guys? Any more books that are about to become movies? Any more movies you're going to act in, Matthew?
Well, I hope so. Definitely. So right now I'm trying to build my resume as much as I can, and with the classes I'm taking, to be able to have the requirements to actually be in a top film.
Right. Now I understand you're taking some classes with a good friend of mine that offers. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, well, I haven't gotten into it yet, but I am into
You're going
the book, which is a requirement for the class, and I'm super excited.
With Tina Gallo.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had her on the show, and she has gone through a lot. I'm so impressed with her because she has gone through so much from the last hurricane or tornado, or I don't even know what anymore that she went through, was tornado, and just devastated her neighborhood. And then the last thing I saw her post was that she had taken her car in for repair or something, and somebody stole it.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's literally gone through a lot, but she hasn't given up, and she's out there training training guys like you, Matthew, to really hone your skill, and that I'm very excited for you that you're doing that. John, so what's in the future for you? Are you already working on your next book?
Actually, yes, and Matthew's doing some collaboration with me. He's giving me some interesting plot twists to throw in. He said, "Well, what about if this happened?" You know, and so I've incorporated those into that story. I had to tell Cameron Arnett that he made a joke one time about, "Oh yeah, Song of the Tree Frogs. What a great! Wait a minute, you didn't ask me to be involved in that." So I said, "Okay, I apologize," because we had done some podcasts together, and I said, "I'm so sorry. I should have, included you." So in this story, I am actually including a character that, if we ever turned it into a screenplay in a movie, he could fit right into that particular role. And when we met Tina actually in Nashville at the end of July, and our family flew down and had a chance to meet her. And Candace Kirkpatrick, we did get a chance to meet her as well. So we had a great opportunity with them. And you're right, Tina is going through an awful lot and has been through a lot, but her faith is persevering, and that in itself is a great testimony. As far as other screenwriting, I am writing a screenplay for he's an international best-selling author named Tom Dutta, and so I'm a quarter of the way through that particular screenplay, and we are planning on filming that hopefully next summer up in Vancouver.
Oh.
And so we'll see how that all goes, and Matthew will be a part of that as well. So he gets involved in a lot of the different production aspects of everything, so that he, just gains as much knowledge as possible. But outside of that, I mean, my acting background is 30 years of stage, acting. And so I missed out on a lot of the movie aspect of things until I, hooked up with Josh Menning, an award-winning film director. And in fact, the Canadian Film Festival, he was just named as a nomination for Best Director. And Song of the Tree Frogs did get nominated as Best Film of the Year from that film festival. And then we had a couple actors that were mentioned. Richard Cutting actually was, for Best Supporting Actor, he was nominated from that one. And oh my gosh, Richard was amazing in this, the role of Tony Williams. He is the most hated character, and boy, did he really portray it. Yeah, as Matthew said, he's scary. When he, did that. And then the other one is Eric Schuett, who was 16 at the time. He's already won the Great Lakes Film Festival. He won as Best Child Actor for that. Okay. So we're very thrilled. A lot of accolades are coming in with it, and we're really thrilled to just get it out there as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, when I was young, when I was a kid and then into a teenager, did a lot of theater acting as well in school and in church, and I always wanted to get into movies, but just never, that opportunity never opened up to me like it did to you, Matthew. As a matter of fact, I did go to, my dad took me to Hollywood once. I had read in a newspaper that they were looking for child actors, so I went over there with Paramount Studios. I was a teenager actually, and my dad took me in. We walked into the door where they were doing auditions and all that. And my dad saw The Element, which was basically, he saw a bunch of teenagers, they didn't, I grew up in church. They didn't look like church kids. And my dad looks at it, he goes, "This isn't for you." And he took me out, and that was it. Never had the opportunity again. So hint, if you ever need an old man with a white beard, maybe a Santa Claus or something, maybe you can open up my opportunity. Well, listen, how can people follow you guys just so they can keep up with what you're doing and obviously learn when the movie will finally come out?
Well, there is a Facebook page called Song of the Tree Frogs that Josh Menning established. And so people can follow any updates there. And also he sends out, emails, for, letters, letting everybody know what's going on. My website is, and we're still currently under construction with a couple of changes since everything has been changing greatly. But jwkitson.com is my website. And so you get a chance to, get caught up on some information there. And Matthew?
Matthew?
Well, Facebook would be Matthew Ketchum, and my Instagram would be _magic_Max, as a play on Magic Mike.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well, folks, go over, follow them, like them, follow whatever it is you do with all this social media stuff, so you can be aware of what's happening out there. I want to thank you guys for taking the time. I know that again, I hope that as soon as we finish here, all of a sudden your power goes off, because that won't be fun anyway. But I'm just glad it did wait if it does. All right.
Yeah, good.
All right, folks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. What an honor.
You bet, folks. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Encourage TV. Family-friendly and faith-friendly content absolutely free. Subscribe today and watch hundreds of hours of content on our streaming channels. Visit encouragetv.com today.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. I've totally run out of time today, but I want to remind you to write me. I'd like to hear from you. Maybe you can give me some ideas on who you'd like to see on the program. Simply write me at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. And of course, don't forget to check out Parables TV, a place where you can watch some wonderful movies, documentaries, just a lot of great content for you and your family. Simply go to parables.tv. That's parables.tv. Well, until next week, take care.